Oh my god. You guys have great taste. I feel like a new person because I just finished reading. Hi, I'm mangacaptor and welcome to a special reading vlog. You may be wondering, what makes this reading vlog so special? Well, I'm only allowed to read the things that you told me to read. I asked you guys to recommend some manga to me and boy did you deliver. I received so many responses. Thank you so much to everyone who put in their recommendation. I got to learn about so many new series I hadn't heard of before, and if you don't find the series that you recommended here on this video, it is very likely on my wish list and something that I want to read in the future. Now, I have a funny little story. Before I posted this question to you guys, I went to the library and picked up a few volumes of a certain series, and this certain series just so happens to be the most requested, and the series I'm talking about is Delicious in Dungeon. So somehow you guys read my mind. So I think it's only fitting to start with this series. So let's go ahead and get cozy and read this manga. Okay guys, I just finished reading this, Delicious in Dungeon, and it was so good. So let's talk about this. In short, Delicious in Dungeon is a food manga, but instead of using traditional vegetables and herbs and protein sources, our characters peruse the dungeon floors and essentially forage for their meals. I'm talking monster flesh, man-eating vegetables, and other things of the sort. And what makes this story really compelling is that in this world, eating food from the dungeon is considered weird. It's taboo, it's strange, and it's the leading cause of food poisoning amongst those who journey through the dungeons. So our main characters are pretty reluctant about sourcing food this way, but they pretty much have to do this because they don't have money. The thing is, in the first chapter of this story, and don't worry, this is not a spoiler, our party comes face to face with a dragon, and they essentially lose. It reminded me a lot of when I used to play Fate, that one computer game, and I would dungeon crawl and get all the way down to the lowest floor only to lose everything and have to start all over. That is basically what happened. They lost their provisions, they lost all their money, and even a party member. So our main character, Laios, decides to spring this idea to the rest of the party, and as we go through all the dungeon levels, we start to realize that Laios is a little bit of a psychopath. Yes, this man is obsessed with dungeon monsters. He believes that they are interesting, cool, and even beautiful, and therefore the next natural step is wondering what they taste like. This series has a lovely mix of comedy and tension. I also love how distinct each character is from the other. I just love the premise so much. You're following a group of dungeon crawlers who are on a budget. So I'd say this was a successful venture into reading some of your recommendations. Thank you to everyone who recommended this title. I very much enjoyed it. So I'm actually running some errands tomorrow, and the place where I'm going happens to also have a Barnes & Noble, and I go to a Barnes & Noble maybe about 2 to 3 times a year, and I just can't pass up the opportunity to do that. So I will be stopping by a Barnes & Noble tomorrow, and I will be taking you guys with me. And I know that I said that I wasn't gonna buy anything until I finished all of my physical and digital TBR, but look at the title of the video that you're watching. It's called something along the lines of reading your recommendations, and not all of your recommendations are available through library means. So I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't at least buy one of the series you guys recommended. And there is one specific one that has been on my mind, and if they have it at the Barnes & Noble, I'm gonna get it. So yeah, it's only January and I'm already mentally prepared to break one of my New Year's resolutions, but you know, I'm just a person. All right guys, we're here.
Wait.
I'm back home, nice and cozy. I had a sandwich. It was pretty good. When I came back home, I found this sitting there waiting for me, and I don't 100% remember what this is, so let's figure that out together. That always happens. Okay, I literally yanked out the thing that you used to open it, so that's wonderful. Oh Oh my god, it's here. Look at this stunning new volume of Witch Hat Atelier. This is gorgeous. I can't wait to read this. Oh my god, I can't tell you what I'm seeing, but you guys, it's intense. This series is incredible. It is so stunning and gorgeous in every single way. I can't wait to read you, but right now is not the time, unfortunately. As you saw, I went to Barnes & Noble and I really had to have some self-control. I was going to buy 6 volumes, but I only bought 4. So I think that's progress. Let me show you what I picked up. I got volume 13 of Spy Family. Have I read volume 12? No. Am I going to read volume 12 soon though? Yes, because now I have volume 13 and I feel more motivated. I was very happy that my Barnes & Noble restocked their crossplay love area because they had almost every volume and I had to restrain myself. Like literally I had to put back so many volumes because I had a gift card, so I was like, oh, I can go crazy, but not really, not in this economy. And I was thinking, you know, I don't need to buy 5 volumes of this series all at once. I should pace myself, take my own advice, you know. But I did get 2 new ones. I got volume 2 of Crossplay Love. I also got volume 3, which is so pretty. And the last thing I got was recommended by one of you guys, and that is Colette Decides to Die. Let's go ahead and get cozy with this new volume. Alright, I am back and I feel like a new person because I just finished reading Colette Decides to Die. Thank you so much to the person that recommended this in the community post I made because this was so delightful and overall just an incredible reading experience. Colette Decides to Die is a shoujo manga where we follow this worn out apothecary. She is one of the few, if not the only apothecary in this small village, but regardless of how small the village is, there's always work to do. There is so much daily pressure involved in her job, and at some point she completely burns out. She's so burnt out and overworked that she doesn't see the point of living anymore. So she does this very drastic thing, and this drastic, dangerous action actually brings her into another realm, the underworld. And that is where she meets Lord Hades, her next patient. Upon meeting Lord Hades, she notices that he is covered in scars and bruises and he is ill. So she does what she does best and gets to work. And as she treats Lord Hades, she kind of starts to fall in love with her job all over again of taking care of people. And that is largely due to the insight that Lord Hades gives her, because Hades is the god of the underworld. He has to basically interview every deceased person that comes into his realm and decide whether they fall to the lower tiers of hell or the higher tiers of the afterworld, such as Asphodel. So he, very much like Colette, has to work around the clock with people. So through their exchanges, they both learn things from each other, and you can kind of see how they start to regain a love for their jobs. I think anyone who is going through burnout will really get something from this manga. Anyone who enjoys Greek mythology will also enjoy it. And also people who work in the medical field or are medical students will also enjoy this as well. There's just so much here to absorb and enjoy, and I really love the art. It's very tasteful. I love the character designs. I love all the characters' personalities. They feel distinct from each other. I also really like the underworld because there are these really cute skeleton servants who serve Lord Lord Hades, and it's just really fun to get a new view into Greek mythology through a shoujo lens. This is a 10 out of 10. And now that I've discussed how much I loved my latest read, let's talk about what I'm reading next. There is one series that has been recommended a few times by you guys, and I actually already own the first volume. I just haven't read it yet, so this is the perfect time to do so. I'm going to be reading Magus of the Library. Hello reader friends, it has been a while, so we're gonna have a personal little story time right now. I'm gonna divulge my personal life just a little bit. I made a very big decision recently and I had so much anxiety leading up to it. I just kept wavering and going back and forth, and finally I just decided to make my final decision. I'm going back to college. I am very excited because I've always wanted to get a college education. It is something that I pursued straight out of high school, but it didn't work for reasons I won't get into, but the time is now. I can go back. I have a strong plan. I know what I want to do now. I wanted to bring this up because I am just going to be a little bit MIA. Not too much. I want to still upload videos every month, and I'm sure you've noticed that my uploads have slowed down just a little bit. I've been posting every other week rather than every single week on Sunday, and that's just gonna continue. I might have to take larger gaps at times because I am enrolled as a full-time student, and I'm taking classes that are going to take a lot of time and energy out of me, so I want to not put too much pressure on myself to post a video every single week. But I'll still be here. I love making YouTube videos so much, and I'm considering making some school-related content. Of course, manga will always be the main thing. When I say school-related content, I'm thinking of doing videos like a realistic reading vlog as a college student, or a study vlog, or like different chill, fun content like that. But let me know in the comments if any of that sounds good, or if you have any different ideas of what kind of content you'd find interesting, let me know as well. I love hearing from you guys. You guys have great ideas, great taste, because the last two things that I read that you guys recommended me to read were really incredible. Wasn't that a good segue? That was a good one. I'm proud of that one. So let's get down to business. I have some notes. I read volume 1 of Magus of the Library. I think that's how you say the title. And it is amazing. So Magus of the Library is basically an underdog story. And I love underdog stories. They are some of the most inspiring and relatable forms of story that you can consume. And this one brought me a lot of joy and inspiration. I feel like the storytelling in Magus of the Library is next level. This manga volume had lots of double page spreads or full page spreads that conveyed a story moment very powerfully, and there were no words. So the storytelling was amazing, the artwork was amazing, the characters are great as well. The main character is this young boy who is long-eared, a derogatory name that his classmates have given him. Our main character is definitely an outsider. He experiences racism every single day. A lot of things are not given to him because of his ears, the color of his skin, the way he looks. His life is just really difficult, and all he wants is to get lost in a book. But he has been banned from his local library. So he dreams of going to the central library, and he wants to go there because a lot of people talk about how diverse that area is. And because it's diverse, he feels like he'll be welcome there. And it's also rumored that that library has a copy of every book in existence. And that dream feels very far away until one day a group of librarians come to his small town. And one of the librarians rescues him. His bullies are just beating him up and being jerks, but this kind librarian breaks it up and introduces themselves, and they quickly become like a role model, a mentor, and through their bond, the main character learns a lot about bravery and strength and all of these things that he wants to embody. He really wants to be like the main character of his favorite pirate story, and I love that this series really focuses on how reading is really important, not only nonfiction but also fiction, because getting to read stories about these really strong characters can inspire us to better ourselves. And I even wrote down one of my favorite quotes, which is, "Those who are brave become so by acting bravely." And the next manga that I read is a one-shot called Snow Fairy. This is a BL one-shot, and it was so stinking cute. One-shots are hit or miss for me sometimes, but this one I really enjoyed. I felt that the pacing was good, and I like that this BL was respectful. I feel like sometimes BL fetishizes gay men. This BL didn't do that, in my opinion. This one-shot follows a young man who lives in Hokkaido, and it is the middle of winter. It is cold as heck. There is so much snow everywhere, and he's just going about doing his daily routine, and he notices that there's a car on the side of the road, and the whole time he's just worried that someone is out there with frostbite or pneumonia. But he finds the owner of the snowed-in vehicle, and it is this young, handsome photographer who is trying to get some really stunning shots of nature. This young photographer reveals that he actually doesn't have anywhere to stay. And at this point, I started rolling my eyes because it is such a common trope where it's like, oh man, I don't have a room, I don't have a house. I guess I'll just have to stay with you. I feel like that trope is just so overused, but in this manga, it was rather tastefully done. So these two guys end up living together for some time because the photographer is on a mission to get a picture of a snow fairy. And through this close proximity and sharing of each other's hobbies and occupations, they learn more about each other and they slowly start to maybe develop feelings. I really enjoyed it, and I also felt very immersed because it's very snowy in the manga and it's also very snowy and cold over here. So that concludes my recent reading updates. I still want to read more. I think I want to read about 2 more manga volumes. I'm not sure which ones just yet, but tonight, once I have some time, I'm gonna get cozy and just settle in and enjoy some manga. Hello, I have returned and I have read so much. So let's get into it. I read 2 series. One of them was Library Wars, and this is a shoujo manga that is actually based off of a novel series by the same author that did The Traveling Cat Chronicles, which happens to be one of my favorite books, and I had no idea that one of their novel series was turned into a manga. Sadly, that novel series is only available in Japanese, but I really do hope that one day we see those translated to different languages. This shoujo manga is eerily relevant to today, and that is because it is about a library war. In this world, there is the Media Betterment Committee, and they dedicate themselves to raiding bookstores and getting rid of books that are deemed offensive. And to combat this, the librarians have actually built their own defense force, and our main character dreams of being part of this defense group. Because when she was a high schooler, she was at a bookstore that was being raided, and one of the books that she looked forward to reading the most was removed from her hands. But the library defense force came to the rescue, and she was able to purchase and enjoy that book. And ever since then, she's wanted to get into that career. She wants to defend the freedom to read whatever the heck you want to read. And that is a problem that is very relevant to today, sadly. I'm sure you've heard of book bans happening all across the United States, and these book bans affect school libraries. And a lot of the materials that are being banned are LGBT books. And additionally, a lot of manga is also being challenged at the school libraries and is at risk for being removed. This is an issue that I'm very passionate about, so I was able to instantly click with the manga and I was invested in the story. So our main character pursues this career passion, and one day she gets to that position. And while she's there getting trained and acclimated to the new job, she can't help but think where this guy is, who saved that book from being stolen by the Media Betterment Committee and instead returned it to her. Overall, I enjoyed the first volume and I am curious to continue the story, but it's very hard to get your hands on this series. My library only had the first volume available digitally, and the rest of the volumes are just not possible to borrow. It's also out of print, so you can't just easily go to the store and buy it. So I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to continue reading this series, but it does have my attention. So the second series I read has me in an absolute chokehold. It is taking up so much of my mind space right now. I'm just so eager to know what happens next. And the series I'm talking about is I Want to Hold Aono-kun So Badly I Could Die. This is a manga series that has me confused because I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. It is an amazing horror manga. Before I get more into this, I will say this series has a million trigger warnings. Anything you can think of, it's there. It's grotesque, it shows abuse on page, it is disturbing, it is destabilizing. I will be putting all of the trigger warnings on the screen, and if you're interested in reading this series, I highly recommend looking at the trigger warnings yourself, because they are intense. This series is about a girl who is rather lonely and she has a crush on one of her classmates. And one day she decides to just confess to him her emotions, and he's like, okay, why don't we go out? So they go out for about 2 weeks and then he passes away. And in response, our main character feels like her world is ending. She has zero will to live, so she plans on taking her life. But before she can be successful, she is interrupted by her boyfriend's ghost. This shocks her, but also calms her because she misses him so dearly and really wants him back. They reach towards each other to hug, but can't because he's a ghost. And this creates a deep longing in our main character to be able to touch her own boyfriend, and that is like a big repeating theme throughout the manga. And I will say this manga is rather deceptive. It makes it seem like it's a romantic school life manga. It is 100% not. On Kodansha's website, they do classify it as a romance, and I've heard some people describe this series as a comedy. They are lying. This is a highly disturbing, unsettling series. And the story just gets more and more dark and strange and scary, especially when you learn that the ghost boyfriend can possess people like his girlfriend, and that leads into some very unsettling scenarios. I'm really enjoying this manga series because in the middle of all of this mess is a mystery. As a reader, it's very easy to get addicted to this mystery and want to know what happens next. It is really engaging to be able to put the pieces together. I am absolutely enthralled with this series. However, I have seen a lot of criticisms towards this manga for different reasons, but the main one that I want to focus on is art style. A lot of people criticize it based off of that. I personally don't see anything wrong with the art style, and I actually think that the art style makes it an even better horror manga, and I'll explain all of that. So there are some horror fans that have given this manga bad reviews because of the art style. They agree that the story is good and engaging and creepy, but they'll also add that they feel like the art style is holding it back. It needs something like Junji Ito, it needs grittiness, it needs to be scary visually, and I 100% disagree. I feel like this simple, clean art style is perfect because it kind of creates this false sense of security. You're reading the story and enjoying it. It seems pretty normal. And the art style also adopts a little bit from shoujo, just a tiny bit. You can see it in how the characters' eyes are very large and sparkly sometimes. The artist also uses a lot of blush on the characters' expressions and little things like that. So there's just the teensiest amount of shoujo inspiration in terms of art style. And it seems like that tiny minuscule amount of inspiration has bothered some people because it isn't congruent with the idea of their horror. But horror can look like anything. It doesn't have to look like Junji Ito's works. I love that the clean, simple style of I want to hold Aono-kun so badly I could die makes it feel like this is just a slice of life manga. This is just a regular school manga. Look at these regular kids doing regular things. Because when something irregular happens, it is legitimately so destabilizing and surreal, and that is what I like about horror. I just also feel like it's so weird and belittling to point out how this manga has like a shoujo art style and therefore it's not really good horror manga. The art style is holding it back. It could be so much better. Just let the mangaka cook. Come on, guys. Let's just let them have at it. I want mangakas to make stories that they're excited about and enjoy. I don't want them to have to make their art look a certain way because that's what a demographic wants or that's what similar titles have done. But anyways, all of that aside, I'm really enjoying this. I'm very creeped out, very disturbed and intrigued, and I can't wait to read more of it. I might just do that right after I finish filming. So I think I'm gonna go because I've got a horror manga I'm gonna go read. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for recommending manga. You guys have some great taste, and I wasn't able to get through all your recommendations because there were so many, but a lot of them have made it to my wish list, so I will be reading them at some point in the future. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like. It really helps my channel. Subscribe if you want to watch more content like this. And also, down below in the comments, let me know what was your favorite manga that I read in this video. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!